a chance now to serve in the legislature for a little more than 3 years. And during that relatively short period of time, I've already been through 2 governors, 2 lieutenant governors, 2 controllers, 3 United States senators, 4 state senate majority leaders, license gate, travel gate, Spencer gate, and a coup d'etat which shut down the New York State Capitol for more than 30 days. Y'all thought Brooklyn was rough. I was asked recently, what song would I select for a soundtrack to describe my aspirations for this year's legislative session? I quickly responded, Mary J. Blige. No more drama. All of the intrigue, all of the drama that we've seen. We were elected to do a job on behalf of the people of this great state. And it is my hope that in 2010 we can get back to doing the people's business. As many of you know, when I'm not out on the street corner meeting with constituents, my offices are located at 55 Hanson Place, which, as you know, henceforth will be named the Shirley Chisholm State Office. I move this legislation forward not because I believe in symbolism over substance, but because there are certain transformational figures, like Shirley Chisholm, first black woman ever elected to the United States Congress, who represented this community unvoiced. There are certain transformational figures whose contributions deserve to be remembered. It's important for our young people to know that they stand on the shoulders of folk like Shirley Chisholm. That there may not even be a President Barack Obama if it wasn't for people like Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, who asked the President to and Shirley Chisholm once said to a young person who was interested in pursuing a career in public service, that if you run for office, don't be a career politician. Be a statesperson. And she said the difference is a career politician is only concerned with the next election, but a statesperson is concerned with the next generation. We continue to stand up and make sure that our schools are given the resources that they need. And whenever you have dramatic cuts to the education budget that have been proposed, we're going to stand up and fight against them. I know that we're in the midst of a very difficult economic situation right now, but our children didn't create this financial mess. Some crooks on Wall Street did. And I don't believe it's fair to balance our budget on the backs of the children in our community. In our society. Now, whenever we stand up and fight against proposed cuts to education spending, there's always some other forces in this state who say that y'all are standing up to protect a special interest. Now, I know a special interest when I see one. The oil companies, that's a special interest. The tobacco lobby, that's a special interest. The banking industry, whose irresponsible behavior helped to plunge our economy into the worst crisis since the Great Depression. We then bailed them out with in excess of $700 billion, and yet they refuse to circulate our money back into the economy, refuse to issue loans, refuse to extend credit, and they're allowed to get away with it because they have friends in high places. The banking industry is a special interest. But the education of our children is not a special interest, it's a human interest, and I will not rest until our children are given confront will not be inconsequential. There will be some peaks and there will be some valleys. There will be some highs and there will be some lows. There will be some good days and there will be some bad days, but through it all, we will persevere. Tish, I continue to believe that the most pressing issue that we face in our community is the affordable housing crisis. It's painful that we have neighbors who are at risk of being pushed out by the steamroller of gentrification and displacement. That is why I will continue to stand up for rent-stabilized tenants, stand up for Mitchell allowance, stand up for Section 8, stand up for public housing, and stand up to make sure that our community remains a place that is affordable. Now, over the last decade, we've been victimized by the irrational exuberance of a housing market that has spiraled out of control, fueled by greed and driven by abusive landlords, brokers, and developers. And one of the consequences of this irrational exuberance is the fact that our community has been flooded with luxury condominium after luxury condominium after luxury condominium. And you and I know, Reverend Trufant, they weren't built for us. They weren't built for working families. They weren't built for artists. They weren't built for the middle class. They weren't built for senior citizens. Some of these apartments have asking prices in excess of $1 million. They weren't built for us. But then the economy collapsed. And now, many of these luxury condominium buildings are sitting empty, collecting dust. I'm not mad at it. The Lord works in mysterious ways. So that is why we want Project Reclaim, an initiative designed to recapture some of these vacant luxury condominiums and transform them into the affordable homes for people who need them the most. Now, in order to properly address the problem, we needed to fully understand the problem. And so I undertook a block-by-block survey of every neighborhood in the district that I represent. We determined that there were 66 luxury-type buildings that were either under construction, completed, partially occupied, or totally vacant. It is simply not acceptable to have so many empty luxury condominiums when folks in this community are desperately in need of affordable housing. And so, in order for us to deal with the problem, I first went to see the CEO of the New York State Affordable Housing Corporation. And I said to her that we needed to address this issue. And in response, she allocated $5 million for the subsidization of apartments from luxury to affordable. More will be needed, but it's a substantial step in the right direction. Legislation designed to encourage new affordable housing developers to take over some of these distressed buildings and reclaim them for our community. The bill has the support of the Assembly leadership, a sponsor in the Senate, and I am confident that sooner rather than later in this legislative session, we will get it passed into law.